to see if you guys are here. I'm early. I'm trying to be early. Oh, but I don't know, because I don't want you to have to wait. So, and there are people waiting right now, and if it doesn't start, it's supposed to. Oh my God, I've had like several beers because I got up at 4 in the morning. I try to keep the same hours as Sean. Sean works graveyard, so I try to get up super early, and then I try to go to bed super early. And that just means that, like, right now when people are at raves, well, like on the other side of the planet, but that's what I feel like right now. Like I'm on the other side. For me, it's like the middle of the night. It's about that time, baby. Hi, you guys. Let me take it's so, you guys, it's been so hot. I cannot even tell you. It's ridiculous. And as I was getting dressed for this, I realized that the sweater that I'm wearing, that I got for $1.99 at Goodwill, is the exact same one that I'm knitting. How stupid is that? No, it does occur to me as I'm like, my blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, not really my blood, sweat, and tears, but my hands do start hurting. But okay, so I'm doing the twisted V pattern. And if you're on facebook.com/groups/reading method, then you will see that there's patterns in there, the ones that are free and people are doing because we're doing the knit along. And so mine's twisted rib, 1 by 1 rib. And I have to tell you, I was very suspicious because I'm a very loose knitter. And so I was very suspicious that using, the gal wants you to start out with a size 7, and then you do 2 inches, and then you move to a size 5. But since I'm a loose knitter, I just started out with a size 5 instead of a size 7. Yes, I did do a gauge swatch. And I used a size 5 instead of a size 7. And then I realized as I was knitting it for those first 2 inches, I was like, when this stretches out, there's no way that this is going to be small enough. So then I switched to a size 3 needle and knitted for another 2 inches. And then, because that right would be where my waist is, and I don't actually have a very small waist, for like as small as I am, my waist really isn't that small. So I then switched and started to do a fade in a darker color so it would look like it was going in, and switched to a size 2 needle. So in other words, I have the bigger needle, just instead of me increasing, I started with a bigger needle, which is going to make it bigger. And then I switched to, as it's working up towards my waist, I switched to a smaller needle. And then by the time it's at my waist, not only did I switch to a smaller needle, smaller needle, but I started to do a fade in a darker color. Because most people know that if you are adding something light, it's going to make it pop out. And if you're adding something dark, it's going to recede. So that way, hopefully, it will make my waist look smaller. Anyway, and the other thing is, but actually decreasing wouldn't be that bad right now because I would not have 134 stitches or whatever is on. I'm telling you guys. And the twisted rib, just to let you know, I've learned so much, because when you mess it up and you have to rip it out downward, you have to twist those stitches too. And it's really crazy how much it takes up. So there was one row where I had ripped the whole thing out, or it was actually, it would be a column. It's not a row, it's a column, right? It's a row. You guys are like, I'm sorry, it's the beer. And anyway, and I did not twist it. And when I looked at it, it was so much bigger. When you twist it, it really takes out a lot of yarn. And so then, of course, I went back and had to figure out, for a pearl, to twisted pearl, which way do I twist, the yarn before I pick up the next one. And anyway, so it's been like, it's definitely been an experience. Now I know why, though, Pat started giggling when I said I was doing a twisted rib because almost the entire thing is twisted rib, because she's thinking, wow, that knit, pearl, knit, pearl, knit, pearl, knit, pearl, knit, pearl, and when you make a mistake, you're going to have to then twist it. And I mean, really, I totally see why she was like had this smile on her face, but didn't say, no, don't do it. But anyway, so what I did is this is, if you do, the best thing to do if you're going to do a fade, if you're going to do a fade and you really want it to fade in gradually, you have to have the colors really close to each other. So this one's gray and this one's gray, but this one might look black, but it's not. It's gray. It's just a darker gray. And so I did, I want to say 4.5 inches of the lighter gray, and then I did 1 row of the dark gray. You do 4 rows of the lighter gray, 2 rows of the dark gray. Do you see the pattern? 3 rows, and you decrease and increase. You increase one while you're decreasing the other, and that way you fade into it. And then the only thing is I dyed a bunch of the yarn really light, and I don't like really light gray. It's not super light, but it's much lighter than that. So I'm going to have to fade. I'm fading out because I'm going to black, And then I'm going to have to fade, if I don't want the lighter gray next to my face, which I probably wouldn't, I'm going to have to fade back in and back out. Or just, you know what I could do? I could just re-dye the yarn. That's the thing. I could just dye it all black. That's what I should. Actually, that might do that. Anyway, hi everybody. It's so good to see you. I thought I wasn't going to be here today, not because I didn't want to be, but because I had to have chicks delivered to Fresno, because it's right out of the area. It's like right. It's so stupid because now they have Newcastles in. There's one in Utah, in Arizona. I mean, it's like it's really terrible, and so they don't want to ship. There's only there's a section of zip codes. I want to say it's like 90000 to like 93677 or something. So, and I fall into that category. But Fresno, which is 5 hours away, is right outside of the border, which is so stupid because, just to let you know, they also have, I think they have a case in Tulare, and but they haven't had any cases most recently, except there was one, but it wasn't anywhere around me. The most recent one, where was it? Can't remember. I actually think it might have been Arizona. But since I've had 4 beers and other things, I shouldn't even be saying anything. I shouldn't be making any facts because all of them mean nothing, truthfully. So anyway, but yeah, so, and the reason why they don't want to ship chicks is because, not because they don't want, I think the idea is let's not have any birds at all, which of course, what about the wild ones, right? But anyway, they just want to stop, or they don't want any chicks coming in with Newcastles. But I just have to be honest with you, we didn't get Newcastles from Missouri. We didn't get Newcastles from any of these other, we got Newcastles probably from south of the border. And that's because that's usually where it comes from. And it's not at all pigeonholing, it's just the way it is. Warm humid climates are really great for disease to just sit there and ruminate and think about spreading, right? So for us, I think we're in a good shape now because we're not raining right now. But when we're raining, that's when we have a lot of not me personally, obviously, but in Riverside County, San Bernardino, Los Angeles. Anyway, that's the story on that. You guys are like, wow, we're really bored now. We want to go to sleep. Thank you, Natalie. You're so welcome. Anytime I can ever give you guys a bedtime story, let me know. Just show up for Yarnitarian. You guys are like, it's so bad. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to read and see what you guys are doing. Hi, everybody. It's so good. Oh my God, it's so good to see you guys. Diana. Okay, Diana, how are you? Valerie, Samantha, So Girl Quilting, and Kelly Sutton, and Darlene, and I just am so happy that I remember. And then Christine and Rebecca and Mary Wildflower. Hello from Texas and hello from California. And Ellie Mae. Easter leftovers and wine. Woo! There you go. Actually, I wanted to have Easter. I asked my husband, why are we having Easter dinner? And he's like, this is actually what he said. He said, we've never had Easter dinner. Sean always cooks because he's a big kid. I love turkey, except I will eat, I literally can eat like 5 pounds of turkey. I'm not lying. Like, I love turkey, and with cranberries, fresh cranberry sauce, which Sean always makes. And so, anyway, that's what I thought for some reason traditionally. So I said, well, no, let's just have a traditional Easter dinner. And I thought maybe he would just forgot that we didn't have Easter dinner normally. That's actually what I thought. And by the way, this is a sidebar. The picture my husband has of me on his phone that comes up on Easter is me holding a cottontail rabbit and my 22 Target Master, because it's when I was having to shoot the squirrels and rabbits for my when I was like rehabilitating birds of prey. And anyway, but it's just so funny. So every Easter he has that, and he loves to show people this picture. It's like for me from like, and I look really hippy dippy because I'm wearing like linen pants, like wide leg pants, and like a tank top. It's not like I was wearing like boots. It's actually a great picture. It's just great because it's the spirit of it. Sean always says, kids, the Easter bunny, look what happened. That's our excuse for not being able to afford to buy them Easter baskets, which I know all of you guys get, are incredibly expensive. Now, where was I? God darn it. I knew I should not have done a sidebar. I don't even know where I was going. Would someone please tell me, you guys? I needed to write it down and I didn't. I will tell you, I actually was on the phone with somebody and I actually wrote down things, because I would keep taking sidebars and I didn't know them well enough to ask them to keep track for me. I know. You guys, would someone please tell me where I was? Not only is she she's gonna lull us to sleep with her stupid stories, but she's gonna lose track of where she's going all the time. Okay, wait. I know there was a reason I was telling you this, but I just don't. Oh, Easter. So my husband said the traditional Easter dinner is ham. You guys, I don't like ham. So not even remotely. There's nothing about ham I like. So I said, forget it. Yeah. I know. Okie dokie. Okay, wait. Okay, so Lisa, I sent your stuff. I did. And I didn't have your email, so I couldn't have Shippo, which is such a, I don't know why that name cracks me. If you guys are like, why aren't we outside? I bet Natalie doesn't actually do any work outside. No, it's not blustering, but I was partying with Sean because I haven't seen him. You're like, you live with him. No, you guys, I have him building a deck on the little, I know you guys, if you guys are, see, you know I got this from Goodwill, and I wasn't lying, because it's got I just now saw it out the corner of my eye. It's got the blue thing. Anyway, it's a reproduction canned ham trailer. God darn it, it's a air flight. It doesn't matter. It's super cute. It's red and white. It's very retro looking, but it's new. Well, it's a couple years old now. And anyway, so of course, what I told Sean is it's going to look like Shantytown, because since Airbnb, Airbnbs are like little cash cows. We're gonna it's gonna be Shantytown. We're gonna have like over here, if we could put like a box and like rent that, we would probably do it. We'd be like super rustic, glamping on a sheep farm. Recyclable house. Like seriously. So I mean, I think I'm gonna have to draw the line maybe at the horse trailer. You guys are like, oh really, you're that desperate? No, you guys, I'm telling you, with the exception of the part where you actually have to do, it's not like passive income, because you actually have to clean them, and I still am having a hard time with the part where I am cleaning other people's toilets. And then I realized when I'm changing my sheet, because I change my sheets like a couple times a week because I like fresh sheets, and I actually realized, wow, I've changed a lot of sheets and ironed a lot, because I always iron the top sheet and then I iron the pillowcases. I don't iron the bottom sheet, but I do iron the rest. And like the duvets, and you guys, I gotta be honest with you, there's a lot of ironing going on here. I mean, it's just like, and I really am thinking I need to pack my packages for the people that bought from the sale. And today, you guys, I totally lost you, but you're gonna have to refresh. I'm gonna even have to refresh. Ugh, I hope I'm back. Okay, I think I'm back. I hate that technology. It's so irritating. Anyway, so hopefully I'm going to have a way better tractor that's way bigger and can handle those. Hey, Allison, that can handle those bales. But then I'm going to have this. So it's so stupid. I can't. And then because I think women we're great problem solvers, in my opinion. Because men are like, oh, I mean, this is a total generalization. But I think out of laziness sometimes, not all men are lazy, but it's almost like the ones that aren't a little bit lazy are almost more irritating. The ones that are wired, like really wired, and just like this guy this hay guy his name's Jeff Jorgensen, and I write him about hay, and I say specifically what I want. I'm very specific, right? Because these old guys can be really cranky. And he writes back, he goes, it doesn't do me much good if I don't have your phone number. I just like... Then I talk to him on the phone, and he's just a dick. He's just such a dick, but I just let him be a dick, and then I point out that he wasn't listening to me. Like, I just throw it right back at him, because I specifically had said, because I could tell what type of person he was. So when I called, I specifically said, I'm not sure how big the bales are, so I don't know how many tons I can get, because I don't know how many bales will fit on the truck, because he can only take 23 tons. Well, we don't sell it by the bale, we sell it by the ton. I said, well, if you were listening to me, you would have heard that I said, and then I went over, and then he was like, from then on, he was nice. I'm telling you, people that are dicks, they are totally predatory, because we are predators. Humans are predators. So those kind of people that are just going to be an asshole for no reason, what they're doing is they don't know they're doing it. It's totally unconscious, but they are trying to put their finger or their thumb on you, and then if you are nice when they're being a dick, they see that as a weakness, and they go in for the kill even more. It's a defensive mechanism that these people do. They're just a dick instantly, and they're almost like testing what kind of person you are, or what kind of fortitude you have. And then when you give it right back to them, they normally become very nice, because they see you as one of them. Even though you're not one of them, you just recognize what the game is, even though they have no idea what game they're playing. But I totally know what game they're playing. It's crazy. And if you were to bring it up to them, they would emphatically deny, one, being a dick, and two, playing a game. They have no idea. That is so deep rooted. It's so deep rooted. Anyway, and so that's my thing. And so my husband and I had this, we had a philosophical discussion about this. I don't know how long ago. It was a long time. It might have been 15 years ago. Because he is a person that his philosophy was, when someone's an asshole to me, I'm going to be nicer. And I said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I really did. I looked at him and I said, I love you, honey, but I got to tell you, when someone's an asshole to you, you're nicer to them. He said, yeah, because, I mean, how can somebody, be an asshole to you when you're being nice to them? I said, because there's a lot of really messed up people in the world, and we're predators. And so he had this job and for quite a while, and people would just treat him like, and he did come to me one time, and he said, I just got to be honest with you, Natalie. I'm going to recant what I said, because it's actually patently false. That, and I know that there have been parents, I've heard, I can't remember when, but parents have been told their children, if they're mean to you, just be nicer. And for me, I just think, wow, that poor kid, because they're not teaching them, because we can't help it, no matter what, we're still animals. I mean, we are. So we still have these things, these instinctual things that when, predators by nature, it's intercalated, it's baked into the cake, it's intercalated into our DNA. That, and we have a higher brain, so we can squash it. But when we feel powerless, when the person feels powerless, whether it's from the childhood or whatever event it's from, then often they, as a defensive mechanism, it's like you go straight into lizard brain. It truly is. And so if you understand lizard brain, which I go into lizard brain a lot, so I really understand it, unfortunately. It's not prudent. It usually lands you in jail. I've been fortunate, except for the one time. I think it was one time. I should have been in jail many more times than that. But anyway, you're like, wow. And no, it wasn't for drunk driving. Never. Not good. Okay, let's see. Carol Jensen. I sent an email to the pager today saying they caulked and the caulk has dried. That's so funny. The caulk has dried. I'm sorry. Hi, Miss Dahlia and Kelly, Clark and Deanna, Samantha, Liz Rose. And then Liz Rose said, does he have red hair? Yes, I know, because those red hair, I'm telling you, the red hair gene is something. And Mary Wildflower. And then So Girl Clothing said, I dealt with a female today. She was the imbecile, drives me crazy. Actually, I got to tell you, though, I mean, and people, I think, because we are predators, I think it almost takes, I don't know, it always is nature versus nurture. So a person who is born, passive, and who's taught to not retaliate and to always think the best of people, I almost feel like that's robbing, like it's indoctrination. It's almost like brainwashing a person out of protecting themselves. And I feel like, I really do. I feel like one of the most important things for us is to feel empowered and not to feel victimized. And so a lot of that is, mental. It's mental. So, for example, a perfect example would be like my daughter killing herself. I could feel completely victimized by that, and people would totally be in line with that. If I was to say, oh my gosh, my poor life, it's so horrible because my daughter did this, and I just, but the reality is that's victimizing myself, right? First of all, it's taking her message away, robbing her of her message to us, not us personally, but to the world, right? And it's also very self-centered, so putting instead of thinking about how Jory must have felt, they're putting their sympathy on me, so it's highly manipulative. But also it's really victimizing oneself, and it's living the stress all over again. And so the idea of something just being an event in your life and being able to not attach any meaning to it except that it's an event and it happened, and that's it. Her killing herself didn't mean I was a bad mother. Her killing herself didn't mean, that she hated me or the family, or, that it just is, because of whatever the factors are, it just is, so that I can move forward and that I don't drag my children and my husband through, because, I think mothers are so incredibly influential, truly. I mean, because you even look at, because obviously, DNA is donated 50-50. So let's just use racehorses as an example. People always say you want the mother the mother is really important to that baby, because even though the DNA is 50 from the mom, 50 from the dad, the mother's the one that's imprinting that baby. from a very young age. So, you know, the way the mother feels about her children and the path that she walks, and how she walks it, is giving so many nonverbal cues to her children. And so one where I would be devastated and wearing that, you know, and dragging this victimization behind me, would be telling my other children many things, one of which is that the ones that are alive aren't important, it's the one that died that's important, and is defining the family, which I think, you know, is terrible. This would be terrible, because they would feel more traumatized than, of course, they already do, right? You're like, wow, that was deep. You're like, maybe next time try 3 beers instead of 4. Okay, let's see. Ellie Mae, thank you. She said she's like, I actually feel like I look very manly with my hair up, but I put it up a lot because I'm losing it. Like, it's there, because people have, this is, okay, I don't have anything to back this up except the dermatologist. She says you either have the 5-year or the 7-year gene, people with the 7-year gene, and of course there's variations in between that, right? So you could be in an 8-year, you know, hypothetically, right? And I think my hair is at the 8-year. So like what happens is it gets, you know, to the back of my knees, literally, and then I got real sick, and so a bunch of it fell out from there, and then and it's still like it has a hangover from that. So it's not super long anymore like it used to be, and and it's like, it depresses me, like it really does. When I put it down, I'm just like, and then of course I do stupid things, like I'll catch it in the door, or I'll lean down and I'll stand up and I'll stand on it and rip a big chunk out. I don't even have big chunks left. So so I wear it in the day. I wear it up a lot, especially like if I'm shearing or something. And Trisha, my friend Trisha, her hair started falling out too, and she had really long hair, and she wrote me and she's like, I just whacked off, and I actually have a little bit of a compulsion, where every once in a while it occurs to me, why don't you just cut it off? Just cut it. And then I think of Bo Derek when she cut her hair. I actually thought, oh my God, what were you thinking? Like I don't know what she was thinking, but that wasn't a smart move. It like put 20 years on her face. Or maybe it's that when I saw it, she was 20 years older. Like, wow. No, but I really, it's like I want her back in like cornrows forever. Bo Derek has to be in cornrows. And I have to be hearing Bolero in the back. And then of course, what's the actor's name? Dudley Moore has to be there too. You're like, okay. And then Shannon says she hates her hair in her face. Liz Rose, we're talking about the red hair gene and the redhead. She says we call that a redheaded dick, which I love that they cut up. So they hold it for review on here. I didn't put words in here that people can't say in chat, but apparently they consider dick to be. But let me just tell you, Siri will repeat anything back. Like I say the most vulgar things, like I'll be like sexting my husband, and they're pretty vulgar, and she totally will repeat them back. The problem is that the context is wrong. Like she'll say things like, the lawn was purple and I really love your heart, and I was wondering if you would like to go up to the room tonight and play with my dog. You know what I mean? She just comes up with, like, it's non sequitur, but she will say vulgar stuff, guaranteed. And then Christine says her hair is really long and she refuses to cut it. I know. It's like if you have one strand left, you just keep it. I mean, you probably don't. I do. And then Linda says, well said, Natalie, her son was killed in a car accident, and I could so relate to your words. Well, it's true, Linda, but you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, you and I are not common. Okay, I'm not trying to make I am not special, by the way, in any way, shape, or form. So anybody that ever says, oh, Natalie thinks she's so special, believe me. Like, just like everybody else, like, if I get one spot on my face, I think I'm disgusting and hideous. You're like, that's not a good example. No, what I'm trying to say is that I'm just as insecure as, anybody, right? But the idea of being able to look at the death of a child, which most people think is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. And believe me, if you really want to get creative, the death of a child isn't the single worst thing that could happen to you. Because especially if you have more children. So, and I watch, I don't know how I do, but I do still watch like Investigation Discovery. And I, see things like women, date a guy and then he goes and kills his or her children. I mean, this, I just have to tell you, like, if we're going to do a hierarchy, that I invited some strange man in my life and he butchered my children to make me suffer. That could probably be one of the worst things, because even though you, of course, don't deserve that, but you made a poor choice and let this person around your children. So, I have a couple of friends that have, invited men into their life that have molested their children. So I mean, there's some pretty, so I guess I don't know, especially when you're a farmer. This sounds crazy, but it's really the facts that we're so disconnected human beings from death that I mean, at all costs, like it becomes so ridiculous in especially like elder care, where it's life at all costs, no matter what the quality of life is. So when you're a farmer, it's our responsibility, and anybody would expect us as owners of animals that can't euthanize themselves to euthanize them, right? If their quality of life is bad, and a person's quality of life, I mean, the thought of, it's so crazy, like our political system right now, and so this isn't about politics at all, but it is about, if we're for apparently keeping, the thought of like euthanizing a person with really severe dementia is abhorrent, but aborting a 10-month, a term baby that, I might carry mine to 10 months. So for me, it would be 10 months. I have the baby, I still have the right to abort it at 10 months. I mean, I'm sorry, but and I'm not left or right. Like, I'm just telling you that it doesn't make any sense. It's completely non sequitur. Because one has the chance to have an amazing life, the baby, and one now is winding down and they're suffering. And by everybody's standards, people, and Sean's mother had Alzheimer's, and she was such a proud woman. I'm telling you, this woman, she's been on the Concord 10 times. She had helped found a bank and was on the board. I mean, we're talking about a woman. She had one best businesswoman in Redding, California. She had plaques, and I mean, she was really, and she's part of Redken, and she was part of Jermac, and so very proud. And it's not just hard on that person, and it takes their dignity away, robs them of their dignity, but the people around them that suffer, the children that are accused of stealing, because they always are, because people are paranoid, or you're hurting them, or I mean, it's just a terrible thing. And my son, towards the end of my husband's mother's life, my husband is such a kind person, and it killed him. For some reason, my son at the time, and he was using meaning he's an alcoholic. He's in recovery for the last, I think this is his 3rd year now. He just hit 3 years. But anyhow, so he was drunk. So he would just sit there and drink and stay with her, and then play his guitar for her, and he would take her care. And he's strong as an ox. He'd carry her to the bathroom. He'd bathe her. I mean, he would paint her toenails for her, and I mean, he totally took care of her. Really took care of her. Honestly, it's amazing. For at the time, I want to say he was like 25 years old, and he took care of her. And then right after she died, I want to say a couple months later, he got clean and sober, which is pretty awesome. But it's really interesting, like his using at that time, actually, because if he wasn't using, he would never have had the time to take care of her like that. He did a great job, though. He did a really good job. As a matter of fact, when the coroner came, he was like, "Wow, she looks really well taken care of," which sounds like you're taking care of an animal. He said she's really well taken care of, and she looks very happy. I'm like, she's not living, but she looks happy. Okay, well, okay. I mean, what are you gonna say? Anyway. Okay, and then Sandy's got, stop it, Sandy. She's bragging about her hair. Ow. She said it's down to my knees. That hurts me. And she said, I'm just going to let it rip, because why not? Ow, because it hurts. I have a really tender head. Plus, it makes me jealous. And then Diana says, I used to have long hair, but she's enjoyed keeping it very short. And Linda said, yes, I had to move on for the rest of my kids. It's the truth. And then Allison says she wants her hair to be short and asymmetrical, and she wants it to be long, and I want all the colors. Oh my gosh, really? Yeah, I don't think I could have colors next to my face besides the color of hair that I have. And Sandy's Glass Shack. Hi, Sandy's Glass Shack. And the pastel mermaid colors. Where are they? Oh, those are behind me. And then Kate says, I don't think farmers are disconnected from death. You are more intense. No, we are. No, people are. You're right. Farmers are not disconnected from death. That's why I feel the way that I do. I think a lot of it is because I'm a farmer, and if Jory was going to suffer, if she was going to be, let's say, hypothetically, that she didn't, if what choice would be better, like her living 16 years and being an amazing human being and learning, and she, she'd experienced England, and she, not that that's, obviously everything, but she did have a really good life, or would, her not being able to handle life and being able to keep herself alive, and then becoming a heroin addict, and being miserable in her adulthood, because we all know that mental illness really seems to hit around, especially for boys though, in their 20s. They could be completely jovial and seem fine, and then 20s come along. But and of course there's the other possibility that she, if she hadn't killed herself, that she would have been able to overcome this, and she would have been really well suited for life, and it's something that we'll never know. But there's no point, there's no point really either way. It just is. And if my choice were, if those were my choices, for having 16 beautiful years or having 16 beautiful years and then becoming, a drug addict, and me, tearing our family apart because you're always worried, and and also for her own, not being happy, it's quality of life. So I would not want that either. So I wouldn't pick selfishly that she would be on this earth just to make me happy because I want her on this earth, even though she's miserable. So, and that, a lot of people I don't think could probably understand that, but it's the way I feel. And we do deal with it every day. Hey, Ms. Shelley. And then Ellie Bay says dementia is a miserable disease, and yes, it is. And then Samantha said she said the whole time she watched her aunt suffer from dementia, and that we treat our animals better than humans. That actually, I'm telling you, that's right. It actually is true, because if you said that if you said and they were alive that you thought that they would be better off not living, and you said it in a group of like 20 people, most people would be horrified that you said that. But let's take the animal, like I have right now, I have a 17-year-old dog, Jory's dog is still, and she will just start crying for whatever reason, and then she's runs into the wall, and she can't remember she's, she's still continent, so, but she sleeps 23.5 hours a day. Seriously, and she doesn't want to be, because she can't see and she can't hear, so she doesn't want to ever be outside. She wants to be in the downstairs bathroom, in her dog bed, with her water right there and her food right there. That's pretty much, she doesn't even venture out when we leave the door open, but we close it a lot, at night, so that, because I don't want her to wander out and then, end up going to the bathroom all over my house. But, she stays in the little bathroom. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But the point is that, if she was urinating and defecating on herself and I kept her alive, and she was doing that, people would be outraged that I didn't put her down because I was so selfish that I kept her alive. Right? But humans, we just have this standard that's just different, that makes no sense when you compare it to the way it seems to be that people are feeling about abortion. And I'm not saying, I don't have a dog in the fight, but I do think it is absurd to think that a child should be able to be aborted at 10 months old. I'm sorry, or 10, in the womb for 10 months or 9.5 months, whatever, whatever you happen. I just think that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my entire life, because you have to be consistent. Right? So if someone were to say that, then say, yes, we should be able to euthanize or not allow people with dementia to say, because actually Sean's mother's doctor, Dr. Leverson, I think he's retired now, he was a geriatric doctor, and he said to Sean, because Sean's mother wanted a pacemaker, and he said to Sean, oh, that I did that for my mother, and she's alive 20 years past what she should have been alive. And he goes, and it's horrible. She's was going up to 100 years old. And so when Irene said, I would like a pacemaker, he's like, so you would like a pacemaker to keep you alive? Because she'd had a couple strokes already. He's like, so that, and you can't even, you're incontinent. And he said, so when you can't take care of yourself, you still want to be alive? And she's like, yes. She's saying something that there's no person in the right mind would ever say yes to. And he's like, okay, you do understand what I'm saying is that someone would be changing your diapers, and then he's like, you don't want that, do you? And she's like, and then she kind of sees that he doesn't want her to say yes, and she's like, oh, yes, no, I would never want that. And thank God, as a doctor, that, he's retired now, that, he got it. He's to me, the way more humane than one that's yes, let's give this woman that has terrible dementia and who has no dignity left, let's give her a pacemaker. I still, I am telling you, there's a lot of things that don't make sense. And, because there's no consistency, and I think that for me right now, especially our whole world about the fighting, whether all the political, both the political parties, is that there's no consistency, and everybody changes their view based on their own agendas, and that is really, I think it's really sad. I think what happens is you get old and you start paying attention to things. When I was younger, I don't think that I would have paid. We're busy living, and so we're not really paying attention to what other people are doing. And then when you get older, you start caring about politics, and you start caring about what's going on in the world, and then you start getting disturbed. right? Where before, you know, you would be spewing, you did what anybody said, like whatever you heard, whatever talking points you heard. Okay, let's see. And then Heather O says that I have strength, and I'm not, but thank you. I'm not amazing. I try. I mean, I'm not amazing. I'm not. I just literally, I think it's, I'm not, but what it is, you have to figure, some people get, this is what's interesting. I actually think about this a lot. There are some people that feel strong through manipulation and control of other people, because that's what manipulation is, right? You're trying to control people in a very sneaky way, right? And they get a lot of validation from that, sadly. And then there are some people that for some reason get validation from being a victim, being victimized, and staying in the victimization because they're getting attention, so it's like secondary gain. And then somebody like me, the only way that I can feel good really is to not feel victimized and to feel like I have control over me, not over other people. So the person that's manipulative is controlling other people. I don't want to be controlled, and I don't want to be controlled at all, and I want to feel in control of myself. That was one of the things I really hated about, like when I got addicted to eclairs, you guys are like, this is the stupidest example she could ever give. Stop it! It's my example. When I was addicted to eclairs, it pissed me off. When I was addicted to cigarettes, because I smoked from when I was 12 until I was 27, and I might have been 28. Doesn't matter. But anyway, I could not stand that it had this hold on me. You're like, well, it took you a while to get over the cigarette one, 12 to 20. No, it did. Because cigarettes weren't in vogue anymore. Like before, you could smoke anywhere. And it started to become increasingly more difficult, and it was like socially frowned upon, and you felt embarrassed that you were a smoker. And that's that. And I hated that. I hated this thing having this hold on me, you know. The only thing that I really don't mind having a hold on me is, and this is, because I am really codependent with Sean. I would have to say is Sean. As many mistakes as, you know, both of us have made in our marriage, that's probably the one thing that I'm okay, that I feel safe. I feel safe being very codependent, which is, you know, seems very counterintuitive, but because I think you have to have most people, they'll have, you know, at least one person in their life that they truly, truly trust, right, with anything, and you're like, yeah, that's why you had some problems. Yeah, probably so, but anyhow, and a lot of the time it's your family, right? It's your family. But for me, definitely it's my spouse, because I don't really have any family. So you're like, you don't have any family. How did you make it on this earth? Well, I think it's better to not, okay, if you have a family, it's crazy. I've said this before and people know this, that I like, it's always fascinated me, and I'm not passing judgment at all on people that they feel that this is what they need to do, because a lot of people do feel this way. So if I think someone is inherently unhealthy, and they damage me in some way, like my family, I don't think, well, it's beneficial still for my child to have a grandparent. I feel like, well, they were really horribly damaging to me. Like, I don't really want them around my kid. I would prefer my kid to not, they don't have to have, I mean, not all kids have grandparents. Not all kids have parents, right? You know, some kids are, you know, put up for adoption or put in foster homes, and, you know, things don't work out. I mean, people, you know, we you know, you either make it or you don't, right? And so, so despite the fact that my children do have actual family on my side, not on Sean's side, but there's no one left on Sean's side. But I just, if I don't think they're good for me, why would I think they were good for my kids? That's the story on that one. Okay, and then Shannon was saying that it's nice that Connery could do that. Yes, and then Ellie Mae is saying doctors are all about making money. And Charlotte, hi Charlotte. And there are certainly degrees of suffering. Yes, that's true. And then Sutton Kelly, what we call death is not the end; it's the beginning, going back to our true home. That they do say my temporary home. There's a country western song, and it sounds terrible to me, but my dad wears the pink juice, so he obviously knows a lot about animals, because the pink juice, the pink stuff is what it used to be pink. It's not anymore, but what they used to euthanize animals with. And then Kate's talking about Jory taking her life, and it was really, hi, is that 15? Don't laugh at me, 1512? I think it's 1512. Let's see, I'm reading. and then let's see, show Medicare. If Medicare, wait, or if Medicare will pay for shit, they will order it. Well, I can't disagree with you there. And then Christine says, I was just saying that earlier today, animals get more mercy than humans. It's okay to shoot an animal so they don't suffer, but not a person. It's because the family won't allow them to die out of guilt. I don't get that. I don't get that. I don't get that. And Megan said, is this about spinning or dying? Right now, Megan, we're talking about dying. A different kind of... I started talking about... You weren't here for the first part, were you? Because I was talking about my Twisted V sweater and the knitting and what I had to do to shape it without having to do short rows for this or having to increase. So I just changed needles 3 times. And then Samantha says she studied animal science. Those are what my degrees are in. Sutton Kelly, I totally agree with you. If you have crappy parents, why the hell would you allow them around you? I agree. It's okay to divorce your shitty relatives. I agree. I agree. So anyway, you guys, so Ibrahim, okay, so let's go back to Ibrahim, the guy that buys my sheep when it's the end of their life, when it's come to an end at Namaste Farms. So he came. The hard part is I'm trying to get this, between cleaning the Airbnbs and all that stuff and then Ibrahim coming, it always, he doesn't let me know. So he'll show up and it's like I see dollar signs. I'm very fair to him though, let me just tell you, and I really am like I probably charge him half of what I just love these people so much. They're really kind. Anyway, he was having a retreat, and it's hard for me because it's a misogynistic culture, or religion, I should say, in general. But it's not. When he says it, it's very loving, which is, and I think it's because he's East Indian. But you know what he says? Okay, so I told you about the guy that I had that goes to his what would be a Muslim? Is it a Muslim temple? Is that what it is? I'm sorry, I don't know what it is right now because I was hammered. So you guys have to just forgive me. I think I have 1 brain cell left. But anyway, so he's the guy that actually gave Ibrahim my number, and that's a parishioner or whatever. This guy, and he counted the money out to me, and I said, yeah, that's great, that's right, and it wasn't right. He should shorted me $100, and then I called. It was like maybe a couple hours later, and I called the guy and I go, oh my gosh, I said, Muhammad, you didn't give me enough money. But he had counted it in front of me, and I said, okay. I told him it was like, I can't remember, I want to say it was $340 or $440, I can't remember, but it was $100 short. And when I wrote him, I texted him, he wrote me back, he goes, oh my gosh, I think you're right. He didn't say, I think you're right, he goes, you're right. He goes, I was so tired, and he was exhausted, because it was the first time he'd ever processed anything, and it was hot, and it was like 4 of them, and he was absolutely, he literally, he took him hours and hours and hours. So anyway, and he said, I'll put it in your bank account tomorrow, and he did. So anyway, Ibrahim came to get some, and he said he was doing something where at one of his the temples, and he was teaching poor people. They're very, and I said to him, he's doing it for poor people. Like I want to say there were like maybe 50 men that he was teaching them how to take care of themselves, how to be clean. Like there's all these rules, religious rules, right? And so so he was telling Sean this part. It's fascinating to me. There's 35 ways, he has to teach them 35 ways to go to the bathroom. And Sean, of course, is very dry humor. So Sean's like, 35 ways to go to the bathroom. I mean, he just starts laughing, right? My husband starts giggling, and Ibrahim doesn't get insulted at all. He just smiles, and he starts telling him things like, you can't go to the bathroom in a hole that's a snake or a rabbit, because or squirrels, because that's their domicile. And then another one is that you have to, after urinating, you can never, you have to make sure you dry your penis off completely, and then you have to squeeze. I'm telling you, there are all these things that they have to do. And then he's telling my husband, and he's saying if you squeeze the urine out so that it doesn't burn your urethra, he says your sex life will be so much better. And my husband's like, I don't think my sex life could be much better. And he's like, no, it could. And my husband's like, no, it couldn't, because I'd probably have a heart attack and die. And I still have to go back to, but I did say to my husband, what is it about Ibrahim that it always ends up at sex somehow? It always does, even with me, which is taboo. But since he's an imam, I think he gets a special pass. I really do. Because he talks to me, and even my husband agreed, he talks to me sort of like I'm a guy. I mean, he doesn't really filter anything, and there are strict rules on all of that, right? And he does it in front of people and his wife and everything, so it's not like he's like, hey baby, and he's being all lecherous. He's not. And then so said, I think last week, that he told me that he was going to pray for my hay, and he said, because Muhammad must do it for you, and I said, must find me hay, and I said, but I'm not Muslim, and he said, no, but you're a very hard worker. And he said, and because and he says, and Muhammad, he must do it. He says, if I ask him, and my son, or we ask him, he must do it. And I just thought that was it was so interesting, because I said, no, he mustn't. like I don't know if I believe that, because he doesn't, like, let's say hypothetically I believed, right, like I was Muslim, but their whole life, everything is through it's kind of fascinating. Everything is through Muhammad. So every single thing that happens, even if it's bad, is through God, right? And the way that he says it is that they're, it's either to teach them something, but nothing ever just happens. It's actually really, or even just meeting me or anything. Everything is because Muhammad. It was a divine. And so, like, when he gives me dog food, it's not him giving me dog food. It's Muhammad giving me dog food. It's actually, like, the hard part is because before I knew them, like, I would reject anything that I was saying. I would reject anything because I have, almost all my friends are Jewish, and, it'd be very difficult for me. But I have to say, this family is amazing, and they treat me so nicely, and he does treat me exactly like an equal, and he'll hug me. You're like, yeah, I'm sure he will. Actually, I hug him. I give him a hug. Which is also, but I don't care. I asked him once if I could hug him, and he said, yeah. You're like, and then we were alone, and I dimmed the lights. I'm just kidding. And there were sheep giving us musical serenades in the background. That's a goat, actually. Ma, that's a sheep. You're like, you did that bad. I'm sorry. I felt on the spot, you guys. Okay. And then Ellie Mae said, surround yourself with people who make you a better person. I agree. Do not surround yourself with people that are like, and that term, you guys, I have to be honest with you, that term, toxic masculinity, I don't know why that cracks me up. I'm telling you, these young people come up with some things, like, it cracks me up. It does crack me up. I look at Scrappy and I say, you're toxic masculinity. I don't know, like, I have to be honest with you, since I'm on testosterone, I actually feel a little sorry for guys. I really do. Because a lot of it, just like, like women will say they're hormonal. I mean, and you say, because legitimately, like, they can make you crazy, just like kids, young kids. Like, we blame a lot of things on hormones. Like, there's that commercial that says, the girl says to her brother, she's like, stop it, you're blinking too loud. And he's like, is this okay? Is this okay? She's like freaking out. And then it's like, too many hormones in your family, right? Because that is kind of, you're blinking too loud. I just think that's so funny. Because it kind of is. Like, that's, if you're, like, hormonal, like, the stupidest things can make you crazy. It's not even rational. And I can just tell you, testosterone makes you, like, you're different. You're a little bit different. You are different. Like, my motivation really is, like, I have a huge sex drive, and it's really motivated by that. But I'm sure if I went off of it, it wouldn't. Except my husband is delicious, so I probably would be the same. Yum. Okay, you're like, moving on. Okie dokie. Love your stories about the people in your life. The thing is that it's fascinating. This culture is fascinating to me. It really is not, and I'm going to just say there is a difference. I actually said to him, Ibrahim, I'm going to be straight with you. I have not been a huge fan of any of the Muslims that have ever come here, because they're condescending and rude, and they've tried to treat me. I won't let them. I'm like, get the fuck off my property, because this is my place, right? So you shake my hand. If I stick my hand out to shake it, you better shake it, right? So, and he says, they have terrible parents. They have terrible parents. He's such a kind human being. But I think there is a difference between, and I don't know this to be true, but I'm just going to say it, because between the way maybe the East Indian Muslims treat women and the Arabs treat women. I don't know this to be true, but I think that is not an invalid hypothesis. So, or maybe it's just, what if he's just an amazingly kind human, but his son is so good, kind too. He talks to me, he laughs. Like, we were laughing. He said it was really awesome. So the guy that came, he came with his wife, the one that shorted me the $100. He came with his wife, and they're probably in their 30s. And his wife was really, like, I didn't like her instantly, because she was just really stingy. She was rude, and she was a little bit of a prima donna. Like they're coming here to buy, meat. I'm not here to, like, cater to them, right? Like, I show them I tell them how much it is, and then, so, the idea of me catering to her whatsoever is like not going to happen. I'm busy, right? So I just didn't really get I did not care. And then her husband, when he was like, I mean, he was so, I felt sorry for him. I thought he was just going to pass out in the middle of processing these goats and sheep. And she was just sitting there kind of like a prima donna, kind of like this, right? She was not lifting one finger to help. And so then anyway, Ibrahim goes, oh, that wife of his, she's a bad one. She's a bad one. He says, I tell him, you need to change the doormat. That's what he calls getting divorced. I just thought I go, change the doormat. That actually is, and then his son goes, no, you mean threshold. But I thought doormat was so much better. He's like, oh, is that what it's called? But doormat, isn't that a great expression for, like, because a woman could even use it, like, I'm going to change the doormat. Like, get rid of my husband. It was really funny. And then he said, this is the other thing, he goes, and I said, you need to marry an American woman. And I said, okay, now that's just not smart. I said, because most American women are not going to tolerate, like, wearing a burqa. I'm just saying. I don't really know any that would be okay with that. Like I just don't. And not have one stitch of furniture in the house. No, I'm serious. I mean, a lot of it, because we haven't been sitting on the floor since we were little. So, like, you actually have to have some athleticism to sit on the floor and have your back straight. I mean, most of us, our backs would be dying if everything we did was not in a chair. And he, at 80 years old, and tall, he's like 6'4". He does not, long white beard. He doesn't ever use a chair. And is he a diabetic? He might be a diabetic. Is he? I can't. For some reason, I think, no, he has heart problems. And then the clinic that I went to, Sharon. Oh, are you talking about the landmark thing? The landmark, is that the one you're talking about, Sharon? And then Diana's saying doormat. Yeah, he's awesome. You guys, I'm telling you, it's like, I really, it's fascinating, and I'm not that way. I'm so defensive of women. Like, there are guys that I know that will start complaining about, like, their son's girlfriend, and I say, you need to just shut right now. Just stop. Like, I don't want to hear any complaints about women from men, because you guys have physical strength over us. I just don't want to hear it. I just don't. Like, it really gets on my nerves. I don't like to hear men ever complain about women. Ever. Ever. Because no matter what, in the end, they can snap our neck like a twig. And that's really the way I feel. I mean, they're so superior to our strength. I mean, my husband is technically, smaller than I am. He's smaller than I am. And he is so much stronger than I am. So much stronger than I am. It's crazy. I mean, it's just the physical strength of men outweighs any of their bitching and moaning and complaining about women. It's like whether it's their, and there's this tribalism with men. Sometimes they like to just instantly defend their sex, which I guess is like me sort of doing that. I'm not defending the woman, like whatever the action is. I'm defending the fact that no matter what, a man can turn and walk away and get out of the relationship. Yes, a woman can too, but no matter what, he can easily kill her, hurt her. Like, it's just like, don't complain, get out. And women, there's other reasons for women staying in relationships a lot of the time. I mean, a lot of us are groomed to be passive, and another thing is we're groomed, some of us are groomed, especially in, through religion, to not, want to divorce, or, for whatever reason, I think women often feel that it's better for the children. But, my philosophy is it's never good for children to be in a house where there's no love. Because the little ears hear everything. Even no matter how, and I think that we teach our children that way to be, to themselves, to settle. So I think it's better to teach your children to get out, right? And rather than, you guys are like, wow, this is so far from fiber. Damn it! It is life too, you guys. I mean, hello? I was going to teach you something today, but I can't remember what it was. You guys, I'm not kidding you. Like, I actually looked at my husband, and I think I might have actually, like, my eyes might have crossed. That's pretty, I had so much fun, though. It was worth every bit of it. What's not going to be worth it is that I'm going to have to feed in the dark. That sucks. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay, Sharon, you should, it's, Tamara Rooney. I want to know, Tamara Rooney with the Tegu lizard and the disabled chicken. She's the only person I know that has a disabled chicken. And because most people wouldn't keep a chicken that was disabled. I'm not sure what that means. I don't think it has a wheelchair. I'm fairly certain, because I don't know how the wings would work on the little Maybe it's remote control. Like she puts it in a little wheelchair and then I have a wheelchair. Actually, I got a dog wheelchair because I had this sheep. You guys, okay. Yes, I did do this. I had a sheep that was obese, and I think she had a thyroid problem, but I can't validate that or verify. But anyway, she had triplets, and she was very geriatric. And then after the birth, she couldn't get up, and it really freaked me out because I didn't want to have to bottle feed the triplets. I mean, my true motivation, I loved this sheep, but on the other hand, I also did not want to have to bottle feed her babies. So I was like, because sometimes it's like almost like they if it's a really traumatic birth, they can get like nerve damage. It's not permanent usually, but they can be gimpy for a little while, certainly. So I was like, well, maybe I can get her through this. So I went on Craigslist and bought like a large dog, wheelchair for the high legs, and put her in that, and I was able to keep her alive for a little while. But eventually she succumbed. Like quality of life, Natalie. A sheep actually it's helped me several times because I have had them go down and then survive and be okay. And so it actually has helped me because I'm able to, because you can't have them laying on the rumen their whole time. So just to get the weight off of their gut. You guys are like, we were talking about Tamara's chicken. We weren't talking about. I just think it's funny because most people, if they had a disabled chicken, would just pull its head off. I'm sorry. It's true. You could feed it to the tegu. She's like, never. It's a Buff Orpington. It's a Buff Orpington. He was rehabbed. Oh, he was crowing, and I didn't know it was a he. I bet he was crowing in her house. And then Len Vienne says, okay, Vienne, I just sent your stuff off yesterday. She's like, yeah, that was you guys, I'm not kidding, like, because what I do is I'll like download the labels. So I downloaded you guys. I really appreciate my customers so much because the people that know me actually don't really ever ask, like when it takes 10 days and like the label is generated and says it ships tomorrow, and then they don't see it then they go on the tracking and it hasn't moved because the label's sitting here, right? And what happens is I just really would love to show you what this looks like. It's a little better than it was yesterday, but when I am putting the lot numbers, so I grab the bags of fleece and I write the lot, I look in it, I touch it, I handle it, and I grade it, and I put the lot number on it, and I have to, my hands are pretty good. They're like human scale hands, where I pretty much know how many pounds I have of something. I do make mistakes, by the way, because what'll happen is I'll say it's like 4 pounds because it feels like 4 pounds, but then after I've like taken 3 pounds out, I realize that some of it was skirting and I can't sell that. But anyway, and then I write the Sharpie. Then I know that bag, so when people buy it, I just put it in a bag, into a different bag, and then it starts going in their boxes, right? And but if I have 70 lots, then there's 70 of these like garbage bags, clear garbage bags with numbers on them, and inevitably, because I didn't do it packed the same day that I put the sale together, I will have rummaged through something and thrown 20 over where 70 is. And so, like, you guys, and I don't remember what fleece is what anymore, so I'll think, oh yeah, that's the really nice tease water that I said was grade A, and then that should be, lot number 45, and then I'll grab it and I'll be like, oh God, it's lot number 14. So like, it's like so inefficient. And so I did buy bins to put, like 1 through 10, 11 through 20, you can see the pattern there. But then there's so much fleece that it doesn't, you get like 3, 1 through 3, and there's one, container. So I have not figured out, and I tried parceling them out into just individual bags, but then I lose the individual bags were even worse because then I had way more of them, right? Because you figure if there's like 4 or 5 pounds, 2 to 5 pounds in every lot, then imagine having, all those little bags of 1 pound. It just was, you guys are like, we seriously hate this conversation. Not more than I do, I should tell you. Okay, so let me see. Oh, but you know what I did? So this, I dyed this, which was super amazing. This is nylon. This is like, it's Polworth and nylon. So it's, it's superwash. I think it is superwash. And it's super soft, and I dyed that. Whenever something picks up, okay, I'll show you how you know whether or not it's got nylon and or is superwash, because it dyes like that as opposed to muted. So if this had silk or something in it, it would dye a lot more vibrant. Is that crazy? It's nuts, huh? Because this is so vibrant. It's amazing. I don't know how vibrant it looks there, but unless it's a long wool, then it will dye more vibrant because it has luster. So, but if it's a fine wool, it's not going to have any luster. You guys are like, oh, geez, the joys. So I'm going to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico at Stitches for the yarn dyeing class, which is 2.5 days, I think. So if you guys are interested, you go to Stitches. I want to say it's called Camp Stitches, and it's Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I'm doing a retreat for dyeing raw fibers on the, I want to say it's the second week in May at Sherry Tenney's Fiber Farm. And I have information about that at facebook.com/teeswatersheep. And then then I have mid-state, no. God, I'm doing another one. What's the name? Oh my gosh, you guys. They have it every other year. It's called Midwest. Could somebody help me? Where is it I'm teaching? Somebody will remember. I just know it. You're like, we don't keep track of your schedule, Natalie. But I'm going to be there in May or June. June. I think the beginning of June. But anyway, so I'm going to be teaching dyeing there too. And Jan will be there. She's teaching hand spinning. Jan's a great teacher, you guys. Jan is a great teacher, and she knows a lot. She's crumpy. Uh-oh, she's probably here. I didn't mean to say grumpy. I meant to say crumpy. Crumpy. It's crumpy. She does let her dog lick all of the lotion off of her legs. So she's single, and she lives with her dog that's obese. She calls him Dick because she says he's a dick. She loves this dog so much. So at first I thought he was a dick. He's not. He's a West Highland Terrier, and that dog is so obese. And I love him because he has snow nose. It's like it's brown. He's white, and his nose gets brown. Anyway, super cute dog. But that dog has free food. It's free feed. That dog looks like a torpedo. It looks like Fat Man. It is so obese, and then it's just short bodied. And the whole time that I'm in her house, and she doesn't realize it anymore because she's used to living with this dog, that he crunch, and then he comes over to her legs and like lick, and then crunch. I told her, I'm going to strangle your dog. Could you please take the food away from him? It was so irritating because it was constant. The dog had an oral fixation. And it was, once you notice it and then you can't stop noticing it, that was it. It's me, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to admit it's me. Okay, so next, this is what, you guys, I have something going on that I want us all to do. But I didn't tell Trisha what it is. I'm not gonna tell you. It's really good, and it's going to involve knitting. It's going to involve knitting, and it's going to be really bonding. And I'm really hoping that you guys are going to do it. And so when am I going to release my idea? Well, I didn't tell Trisha exactly what it was. I said I was going to talk to her later, but then of course I started drinking and partying with my husband, and so I didn't get back to her. But if Trisha gives it a go, Kristen gives it a go. So then we're going to do it, and it's going to be so community building. And I'm so excited, you guys. Because I think that we all have enough time to, and especially if you're a fiber artist, I know everybody has stuff that they could be crafting with, right? Could be crafting with, or even that is just sitting there. And so this is a way to get people to craft with their stuff. And then I'll do some teaching for free. So, because I really want us to be, I want us to be closer. And the more things we do together, like this knitting, which I actually am thinking, this sweater is just as good as that sweater, except it doesn't have the one stitch that I couldn't fix. This sweater doesn't have that. This sweater is going to. It's so irritating. I hate when I make a mistake in my knitting. I'm a perfectionist, so if I make a mistake and I can't fix it, and it's just a tiny little one, my eye will not stop seeing it. My eye is totally drawn to this one place. And I see it like it's just blaring. It's just blaring to me. But I can't. It's beyond my skill set how to fix this one little tiny stitch, which it probably at this point isn't fixable. Well, it's not because it's not getting fixed. So let's just put it that way. Matha, Mid-Atlantic Fiber Arts. Thank you, Allison Blair. And then Diana says she's going. Sherry says, woo! Go, go, go. And Allison says the silk would make it vibrant. Yes, the silk would make it vibrant. Silk has luster. So what happens, you guys, is, so long wools have less scales. The less scales you have, so compared to what? Fine wools have a lot of scales, which doesn't make sense because when you think scales, you are thinking probably, because if I think scales, I think that they could raise and they could be scratchy. But the finer the wool, the more the scales, or the finer the fiber, the more scales it has. And it doesn't reflect light because, and that's also counterintuitive in my mind because they like to cut diamonds so they reflect light, right? So if you have a lot of dimension, then you are going to reflect light really well. So I was thinking that seems counterintuitive, that if you had a lot of scales that you would not reflect light, because I was thinking scales would be akin to cuts on a diamond, which isn't true. The more scales you have, the less lustrous you are. So less luster means that it's not shiny, and just think of matte paint or high gloss. So think of luster as high gloss. You can have the same color, it looks totally different because one is high gloss and one is matte. So merino is very matte, and the finer the wool, the more matte it is. And so if you put something in there that has flatter, longer scales, like a long wool where it's a lot coarser and you might not be able to wear it next to your skin, it's going to pick up dye amazingly well. And then silk, of course, doesn't have scales, but it's able to reflect light. It's extraordinarily lustrous, and it makes things. Nylon is another thing that makes things very vibrant, and then superwashing them makes them vibrant because it just picks up dye better. So superwash, I don't like superwash because I think it feels dead. To dye it is amazing, and you look like a genius. And then you dye, like if you're used to dyeing something that has nylon in it, or something that has silk in it, or something that's superwash, everything you make is beautiful. And then you go and you dye like straight merino without silk in it, and you're like, oh my god, like my colors are hideous. But it's just the way it is. So just letting you know, if you want something super vibrant, then you have to go up higher. So like something that, if you saw something that was 13 microns, it would be a lot duller than something that was 21 microns. And if you compare something that was 21 microns to like a long wool that was 40 microns, and I mean that's the thing with mohair. Mohair is extraordinarily shiny, and they're actually almost if you look at like a kid mohair and Wensleydale next to each other under the microscope, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. I mean, they are so similar looking, even though one has resilience wool and one doesn't, mohair. But it's crazy how, and it's the electron scanning microscope. They look so similar. It's crazy. And actually, I've talked about it before. They actually do, because I end up dyeing. I dye a lot of I dye multiple fiber pots, so I'll have mohair in there, and then there'll be wool in there too, and then I have to separate them afterwards, right? Because and then inevitably it's very difficult to separate every lock out from everything because they look really similar, especially if they're like it's kid mohair and it's lamb Wensleydale. It's very difficult because they just look so, it's crazy. Like you really can't tell the difference. You have to smell it, because one will always smell like wool and one smells like dirt, even after it's been washed. One smells like wool, Wensleydale, one smells like dirt, mohair. Okay, Mid-Atlantic Fiber Arts, that is it, Samantha. Thank you. What are the chances of us enjoying each other if we met? Oh, I have no idea. I don't know. In general, unless I'm pissed off, people usually like me, unless they don't like that I talk fast. But I'm guessing if someone's here, they must already be okay with the way that me talking fast. I think that's the one thing that drives people the most. Probably it irritates people, some people, which they can go fuck themselves. How about that? Think faster. That's what I think. But that's just me, because it's really insulting for someone to be like, gosh, could you just slow down the way that you speak? And it's like, actually, it's an idiosyncrasy, and I can't help it. And if I could help it, I would, because it does seem to irritate people. But, after people know me a while, they don't even hear it. Except if I get going really bad, but sometimes my husband will hear it. And he'll be like, wow, I could understand you, but believe me, they couldn't understand a word you were saying. So if I get really wound up about something, usually I'm wound up. And then Kelly Sutton says, what's your opinion on the best electric drum carder to buy? Okay, so as far as drum carders, I have to be honest with you, this is another thing that's really personal. I did have a kitty, and I was not a fan, and that's not to say that, and this was a long time ago, so to be fair to these people, it was a long time ago, and I wasn't a big drum card person anyway, but I ended up giving it away. I know, can you believe it? But and now I don't have electric ones, and the one that it depends on what what kind of cloth you want, a coarse or a fine cloth, and but I am a pat green person, and I of course should want to buy American, right? But and it's a Canadian company, and he's no longer alive. But I'm into things. I still am a little bit of a Louboutin person, so just like Louboutin, Christian Louboutin shoes, and like Yves Saint Laurent things. I'm into like or John Deere. I could buy a Kubota, right? Then it would cost me less, but I am just sort of like whatever is sort of the best is what I want. But then you obviously have to look at what your ultimate goal is. And then there's another one, Duncan, and that one, in Oregon. But I have to be honest with you, the Carters that I have I have one Louette, and then I have three Pat Green. And I have a Pat Green triple picker. I don't have any electric ones anymore, though. I don't have any electric ones because I don't use them enough. But that's a question. I mean, I think that if you asked, I don't know, 100 people, you would get like, probably 25% of them would say one, 25% would say another, another 25% would say another, and then it would be divided, about, brands, off brands or stuff by the. So I think it's one of those things that it's really a personal thing. The thing that I like things to hold their value. So that's one reason I like Pat Green, is because it holds its value pretty well. I really want to have that gal on, and I totally forgot. Well, no, I didn't forget, actually. There's another story behind that. You're like, did you forget or didn't you forget? I didn't forget, but now that I remembered that I didn't forget, I didn't call her. But I didn't call her because can't do the program for having someone call in. It's a long story. But I'm not mastering this yet. I haven't mastered this issue. Brother, she said, makes Pat Green stuff. Oh no. They bought his plans. That bums me out. Yeah, and then Samantha says it's Carters are like wheels. It's all personal preference. And Campbell Jane says my brain grows at light speed, so she gets all I say. Thank you. Keep on talking. Don't slow down. I know it does make me self-conscious. So anyway, that's kind of a bummer. I would always look for the Pat Green ones though, because they hold their value. But that might not be the one, because they have one that's like a more all around. I'm pretty sure they have an all around one, but I have. Like the Louette one that doesn't have a drum, but you should all go on those. If you could find even a Duncan, the Duncan one, I like those because they're made in America. When I used to see the guy all the time at what's it called? Black Sheep Gallery, Black Sheep. Elon, hey you. She has a fancy kitty. That's the electric. And a Pat Green picker, and she loves both of them very much. So there you go. And the Teresa Wiedemeyer says she loves my classic Carter from the UK. Okay, and. And then Sandy says I gave away an electric drum. Yes, I did. And I actually had that giant one that was I had the giant one that's like as big as this room right here. The giant one. He only made 200 of them. And I sold it last year when we were really hurting for money. And I mean, those things are like, they're pretty spectacular. So it makes roving, and it makes, carded bats, but giant, we're talking about big sheets, huge sheets. And the only reason I bought that one is because somebody that's in this industry at the time that was just heinous and had done some really bad things to Janice always wanted one, and I had the money at the time, and one came up for sale, and they'd been looking for one, and I bought it immediately. Just because she had been treated to Janice so badly, and I didn't want her to have it. I didn't want her to have it. She didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve it, and she wanted one so bad. And she'd been having everybody hunt for her, and I don't know how I ended up finding one. It was on accident. Somebody actually wrote me and said they had one for sale, and I was like, oh my God, I'm taking it, I'm buying it. And it was like in Georgia, I had to send a truck to go get it from U-Ship. It wasn't out of spite, because I'm not a spiteful person. It was just that it was like a statement, like, because she'd like stolen a bunch of stuff from Janice, and had like sold it as her own, and it was, Janice was really sick at the time and in the hospital, and she's in the fiber industry, and she had, Janice was dying, very sick, and she was in intensive care, and I had put online that I was going to see Janice, and Janice was in the hospital, and Janice is the one that did all of these amazing things like that sweater, and did the crochet, does the freeform crochet, genius artist, and she's no longer with us. But anyway, so and this is right before she died, and so this gal wrote me, it's a fiber artist, and she said, hey, I'm a friend of Janice's, I would love to go to the hospital with you. And I was like, oh, okay, so I was like, I didn't know this girl. And she lived in San Diego, which is like an hour from me. So I said, okay, so when she showed up, I actually did get a little suspicious when she showed up with 2 giant things of flowers instead of 1. Like, she came with 2. And when I said great, and I actually looked at it, I go, great. I go, you're bringing 2 and I don't have 1. And I was, of course, I'm always, we live, paycheck to paycheck. So like having to, I didn't even think of bringing her flowers because my friendship, I love Janice, and she knows, she lived in Section 8 housing, so she didn't expect anything. And I was like, great, you have 2 things of flowers. Now I'm gonna have to go buy one. And this should have given me the clue that totally manipulative. She goes, no, I brought 1 so you can give it to her. I said I could never do that. So I stopped at like Ralph's and got a thing of flowers for her, and I was just like, so then we drove there, and then Janice, I asked her, I was like, so is I said, how's of course, how are you doing, and was very concerned. I said, and I was the one who had called 911 because I was talking to her on the phone and she didn't sound coherent, so I had them do a well person check, and they took her to the hospital. That's how she was not well. And so and then this gal had said to her, I'll help you get your orders out since you're in here. And then I thought they were friends. I didn't know, and I was like, that sounds like a great, because I couldn't do it. There's no way. I even then was really busy. And Janice knew her, and so Janice was talking to her, was like, oh, thank you so much, that would be great. Can you make sure? She's like, yeah, I'll check your Etsy and give me your password and all. She ended up stealing a bunch of her stuff. It was really bad. It was really bad. It made me physically ill. It made me so sick. It made me so sick at humanity that somebody would do that. It really made me physically ill that somebody would be that manipulative. And then she also took her Spinolution dealership. Janice was one of the first people that had a Spinolution dealership, and then Janice wasn't able to, because she was, and then and that whole thing really, I got really mad at Spinolution for that. And they gave me some wheels, and they were gonna, I was gonna promote them, and I was like, I can't promote you now because you gave away her dealership, and because I had gotten in the middle of it. Janice didn't want her to send out the wheels, but people were writing and pissed off at on Etsy because Janice wasn't able to do anything about the wheels. So I said, why don't you just, since you're going to let her do your other stuff, let her just fulfill those orders, and if she gets any new orders, she'll give you, I want to say 15%. I said she'll give you 15% of what she makes. And then and then she won't do it anymore as soon as you get done. And she's like, she'll never do that. She'll take my dealership. And I was like, well, but right now you're not able to do anything. And I said, I'll talk to Mike. And she was really good friends with Mike, the owner of Spinolution. And I talked to Mike, and I said, Mike, there's this girl that's going to be taken care of. I said the whole thing, and I said, but Janice, he's like, of course she'll get her dealership back. And then I was trying to help make her, this is no shit, you guys, this is not a lie. I was trying to help Janice get at least the 15% of this money. So I was really promoting it like on Blog Talk, and this girl sold like 11 or 12 wheels within like 8 weeks, which made her look like a genius. But it wasn't her, it was me that was trying to get Janice money while she was in the hospital because, she had no money. And anyway, and then they took the dealership from her, and I called Mike. I called up and I said, you don't understand that she didn't sell those wheels. I sold the wheels through her so that Janice could get money. And he was like, well, this, it's done. I said, well, I'm never promoting you ever. I felt so guilty because I didn't see it. Some people are very deceitful. The people that are dangerous are the ones you don't see coming. Those are the bad ones. The ones that are obvious, now when I meet really manipulative people that are obvious, I actually am happy. It's the insidious ones that are just like so. And then I remember saying to her, God, you're being so nice and trying helping Janice. She's like, well, I come from a family where you always do unto others. The whole time, totally just giving it, just really bad. I mean, I'm telling you, this was a bad scandal. And did I mention it was Spinning Mermaid? Yeah, it was bad. What kind of person does that shit, Spinning Mermaid? She's not. And then Samantha says she has one very close to her for sale. She wished she had the extra cash for it. Is that one, the giant pack green one? And then Teresa says you sold the mini mill. I did. I never used it. And Karma will get her. I don't know, Sony. I don't know. Does Karma? Sometimes I don't know. Because you know what I've noticed? People like that, they don't see things happening to them as being related to anything they've ever done. I'm not a perfect person. So, far be it from me, but that was really calculated. I do remember, though, because I kind of kept an eye on her and the worst part is she had done some stuff to somebody else, and I knew the person really well, and she never told me. So when this thing happened, she goes, oh, Natalie, I almost told you, but I didn't want to I didn't want you to dislike, you know, she didn't want to like, and I said, don't ever hold people's secrets. Like if you would have told me, I would have never let her in. If I would have known the stuff that she had done, and it was like she had bought, you know, she had like, oh, someone had bought from her some stuff, and it was like, it actually was a Carter, oddly enough. And the woman had put money down on it, and then the spinning mermaid kept saying that the stuff, that the dealer, you know, they were on delay and back order and this and that, and finally the lady called and they were like, she never put an order in. And then the woman admitted to using it to pay bills, and you know that she was having financial problems and all this other, it was just the whole thing. I said, if you would have told me that, I would have never in a million years ever let her even anywhere. I would have never let her even go with me. Like, it's just really bad. But she did, so she tried to raise money, like the donations for people to help her buy a Pat Green electric Carter, you guys. Yes. Oddly enough, this is so crazy that we're talking about this. And I guess she'd raised, I don't remember how much people had ended up giving her. And she said, I don't believe this to be true, because these kind of people, you can never believe anything they said. I read that she was complaining online that the person, she'd sent the money to the person in Texas or New Mexico or something, wherever it was, I think it was New Mexico, and they kept her money. And that's why she didn't have the Carter. I think she probably took the money that people donated to her and just didn't buy the Carter. If you want, I mean, you never know with people that are, I mean, what, you know, when people lie and they have a tendency to lie, what part of, you know, you just have to assume everything is a lie, right? That's kind of the way I work. It's like, you know, I don't know. Anything that's going to evoke sympathy, I think is going to be a manipulation. Or any sort of reaction from somebody, because manipulative people are manipulative, and that's that. Okay, so today, you guys are like, wow, we changed gears fast. That's because I can see it's getting dark. But I have leftover yarn from that, from the one last week. You guys are like, but I can't find anything, because I am so unorganized. Where is it? Because I have the other three. These are scrap boxes. The other three skeins of mohair and silk. Mohair and silk, where are they? Oh, here they are. These are the other three that I'm going to give away. I told you I felted it a tiny bit. So you guys are like, why do you always give us your throwaway stuff? Well, because I wouldn't sell it. I'd be nervous to someone be like, it's so, just sticks some of the pieces, or no, not, it's a tiny bit. Like when it's like, because you know, it's very sticky because it has a halo. Actually, this is not felted at all. I'm lying. I think I might have been drunker than I thought. But so there's 3 of these, and so I think each of these is 1,000 yards. I could be high once again. So this is a fade. I think I might have, and I did send the other fade already out. So here we go. So right now it's going to be very important for people to put, yes, I want this, and I will use it. And then I'm going to do a random number generator again. And then I'm going to count backwards. If I see your name like twice, like if you say yes and then you say, oh, I'm so excited, like I'm going to try to skip over your name that one time. So if someone tries to like reenact how I got to like pick the 43rd person, it might be that, and I might not count exactly right, and that's just one of the idiosyncrasies of how I do it. Because I don't want to like sit there and be like anal retentive. And so go, you guys, go, go, go. I'm so excited about this idea that I have to make us become best friends, BFFs. I'm going to show you my dog while you guys are saying yes. I'm giving you a chance since there's a delay. Where's my little boy here? He has eye boogers today. And I started picking him with my fingers, and then I was like, that's really gross. But what would really be gross is if I ate them. Mwah. It's a little baby. I'm telling you, it's a little baby. Squeeze with tiny little baby. Oh, he's so good, you guys. What a perfect canine specimen you are. God. You want to kiss my ears? You want to clean them? He wants to go straight for my nostrils. Oh, just a baby boy. Oh, God, it looks like he's wearing eyeliner all the time. I love the way he smells. Mwah! You're so good looking. My God. Such a beautiful baby boy. He's a perfect baby size. Did he get his butt in a butter tub or what? I'm telling you, this dog is so lucky. Okay, let's see. Okie dokie. Okay, so I'm starting with, I'm gonna see. Okay, see all the yeses. Okay, yes. Okay, okay, so I think I'm gonna start with Rebecca, no, I'm going to start with Liz Rose because Rebecca, I see your name again down. So I'm going to start with Liz Rose where she says lovely. So, oh, I have to do random number generator. Sorry. You're like, did you do the random number? I'm going to do 1 to 50 again. And then if, you know, there aren't 50, then there's probably, oh, there's 58. Oops. Okay, so there's 58 people in here now. So I'm going to do 60. And if it's over, then I'll, you know, over the number of people, because you guys understand where I'm going with it. You're like, could you just finish a thought? No, because now I've got a hangover. Okay. Random number generator. Okie dokie. 1, 2, do 68. Generate that number, 65. So I'm going to have to do another one. 27. Okay, I said from Liz. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Susan Copus is who it is. So, Susan, I want this so much and we'll use it. But she was 27. Okay, so you have to send me at, you can send it at info@wool shampoo, like sheep's wool. You're like, really? Sheep's wool? woolshampoo.com. So info@woolshampoo.com, or you can like message me on Facebook, or it's probably better. But you guys always have to hit Kristen, Kristin, @readingmethod.com, because I'm just going to tell you, I missed so many. I just missed an important email from Stitches. Yeah, I mean, I'm really bad. I do miss. The ones that always worry me is when someone's like, I mess their order up. If I mess their order up and I miss that email, and then they're like, why isn't this? If I don't write someone back and it has something to do with, they've given me money and they expect something from me, it's because I didn't see it. Because I don't just like check out. Like, I am so weird about money things, like having people know that I have integrity. I'm not perfect. I mean, like, I lowballed these guys on the tractor, but I'm just going to tell you, I saved $1,000 because I was going to give them $26,500, not realizing that they had actually already committed to $25,500. Because I offered them $23,500. I know that they just read this, and then a lot of the people are like, "Are you kidding?" Which then I, of course, don't respond. Actually, I wasn't kidding. I was hoping you were just desperate that day. Okay, so Susan. Okay, you guys. So like next week we're gonna have. I'm really doing shit, you guys. And we're gonna do something so good. I'm telling you. And my twisted. I'm gonna have the first part of my fade on my twisted V. And I'm hoping what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try, I'm going to make it a deeper V because I like them really deep because my husband likes my cleavage. So I don't like them even though my chest is so. I didn't even tell you guys I went to the junkyard. I'll tell you next week. It's so good. And this is the first time ever like I was able to use, in a long time, that I could use my womanly wiles because the guys were all old and they kept giving me everything for free, which was really awesome. It made me feel so good. It actually really, even though they were like 85 years old, I was happy. I was like, I got a fan club here. All these guys at the junkyard. Like, seriously. Okay, you guys. I am so appreciative of all of you for joining me on Yarnitarian episode 20. And I hope you guys are here next week because I'm actually going to come up with a format. I'm just not exactly sure. Plus, I'm going to go over this thing that I really am hoping people will want to do. And I think you will because it's going to involve fiber, prizes, and helping people. I know. So creative. I'm excited to tell you, but I can't right now because like I said, I have to vet it. I have to vet it first with other people. So like, that's just the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Anyway, okay, you guys, see you next Tuesday. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, and I love seeing you here. And I honestly, it's the high point of my week. Bye.